Good evening. Welcome to the June 2nd, 2025 City Council meeting. Tonight's invocation is by Mrs. Snee, and then we'll have the pledge. Please stand.
Gracious God, we gather today having recently paid tribute to those who served, sacrificed, and gave their lives for our nation so that we can continue to live and serve in a democracy that we all enjoy. Thank you for our many and abundant blessings, for health to fulfill our callings, for sustenance, and for community and friendship. Grant us patience as we listen, wisdom in our deliberations, and discernment in our decisions for the good of our entire community. Thank you for those who work to protect us both nationally and locally. Grant them and their families continued protection. Thank you for those who work on our behalf in roles throughout our city. Bless this meeting today and all those present. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Knight, could you please call the roll?
Mr. Schilling.
Present.
Mrs. Marshall.
Here.
Mr. Twist.
Here.
Mr. Pierce.
Present.
Mrs. Snee.
Here.
Mr. Whidden.
Here.
Mr. Sievert.
Here.
Mrs. Westfall. Mr. Phillips.
Move to excuse Mrs. Westfall.
Second.
Motion to excuse Mrs. Westfall by Mr. Sievert, second by Mr. Schilling. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mrs. Marshall.
Yes.
Mr. Twist.
Yes.
Mr. Pierce.
Yes.
Mrs. Snee.
Yes.
Mr. Whidden.
Yes.
Mr. Sievert.
Yes.
Mr. Schilling.
Yes.
Mrs. Westfall is excused.
Move to excuse Mr. Phillips.
Second.
Motion to excuse Mr. Phelps by Mr. Pierce, second by Mr. Twist. Mrs. Knight, can you call the roll?
Mr. Twist.
Yes.
Mr. Pierce.
Yes.
Mrs. Snee.
Yes.
Mr. Whidden.
Yes.
Mr. Sievert.
Yes.
Mr. Schilling.
Yes.
Mrs. Marshall.
Yes.
Mr. Phillips is excused.
Thank you. Could you please read the summary of our May 19th meeting, please?
Minutes of Council, May 19, 2025. Committee reports. Community Partnerships Committee recommended legislation be prepared authorizing a CHIP partnership agreement with the county and the city of Piqua for the 2025 CHIP program. Committee recommended legislation be prepared authorizing the city to participate in the Meta Solutions Purchasing Cooperative. Finance Committee recommended that legislation be prepared authorizing a professional services agreement with Timmons Group of Richmond, Virginia for the GIS Utility Network project. Law and Ordinance Committee recommended that ordinance number 015-2025 be adopted. Streets and Sidewalks Committee recommended that legislation be prepared approving preliminary consent legislation for ODOT resurfacing project on Experiment Farm Road, and recommended legislation be prepared approving the final consent legislation for the ODOT resurfacing project for a portion of West Main Street. Resolution number R23-2025, authorizing an agreement with American Fidelity Assurance Company for a voluntary insurance program, was given second reading and was adopted. Resolution number R24-2025, authorizing the CHIP partnership agreement, was given first reading and was adopted. Resolution number R25-2025, purchasing program of Meta Solutions Purchasing Cooperative, authorizing joining that, was given first reading and adopted. Resolution number R26-2025, agreement with Timmons Group of Richmond, Virginia for the GIS Utility Network project, first reading and adopted. Resolution number R27-2025, cooperation with the Ohio Department of Transportation for the resurfacing of State Route 41, a portion thereof, first reading and adopted. Resolution number R28-2025, ODOT participatory legislation for resurfacing part of Experiment Farm Road, was given first reading and adopted. Ordinance number 015-2025, a rezoning along Commerce Center Boulevard, was given third reading and was adopted. Ordinance number 016-2025, accepting an annexation of 57.679 acres, was given first reading and adopted. Following various comments, council did adjourn at 8:52 p.m.
Move to accept.
Second.
Motion to accept the minutes by Mr. Pierce, second by Mr. Twist. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mr. Pierce?
Yes.
Mrs. Snee?
Yes.
Mr. Whidden?
Yes.
Mr. Sievert?
Yes.
Mr. Schilling?
Yes.
Mrs. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Twist?
Yes.
Minutes are approved.
Thank you. Moving on to committee reports. Tonight we have one from Finance, Mr. Sievert.
Thank you, Mr. President. This committee met May 27 to consider continuing to bid the outsourcing of the maintenance management of city vehicles and equipment. It is estimated that the cost to contract fleet maintenance is less than the cost to perform this work in-house. The current contract expires at year end. It is the unanimous recommendation of this committee that legislation be prepared authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety to advertise for bids and enter into a contract for a fleet maintenance program at a cost not to exceed $450,000 for each calendar year of the contract. The years of the contract will be 3 years with 2 extensions if they're mutually agreed upon. Respectfully submitted, Mr. Schilling, Mrs. Westfall, and myself as chairman.
Any questions, comments? Moving on to personnel, Mrs. Snee.
Thank you, Mr. President. Personnel Committee members Phillips and Snee met May 27th regarding establishing an employee voluntary vision insurance plan, which is discussed in the detailed report. It is the recommendation of this committee that legislation be prepared for the following: to authorize the Director of Public Service and Safety to submit an application to EyeMed Vision Care LLC of Mason, Ohio for voluntary vision insurance, and to amend Ordinance Chapter 141, Benefit Provisions, to include a vision insurance plan, so that the optional vision insurance can be discussed with employees during the open enrollment period to be effective September 1st, 2025. This committee supports emergency legislation. This is respectfully submitted by Mr. Phillips, Mr. Pierce, and myself as chair. And I would ask, because of a lack of members that can vote to suspend this and vote on it tonight, that both R30 2025 and O17 2025 come to a second reading.
We will take care of that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Moving on. This is the time where the citizens or anybody here would like to come up and make comments on anything we have on our agenda. Please come to the podium, name, address for the record, and we will give you about 2 minutes to ask any questions in this portion. Seeing none, we will move on to resolutions. Our first resolution tonight, Mrs. Knight, could you please read R29, 2025?
Resolution number R29, 2025. Resolution authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety of the City of Troy, Ohio to advertise for bids and enter into a contract for a fleet maintenance program. This would be a 3-year contract with up to 2 additional 1-year renewals, cost not to exceed $450,000 per year. First reading.
Move to suspend.
Second.
Move to suspend by Mr. Twist, second by Mr. Pierce. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mrs. Snee?
Yes.
Mr. Whidden?
Yes.
Mr. Sievert?
Yes.
Mr. Schilling?
Yes.
Mrs. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Twist?
Yes.
Mr. Pierce?
Yes.
Move to adopt. Or second.
Your choice.
Motion to adopt, Mr. Sievert, seconded by Mr. Twist. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mr. Whidden?
Yes.
Mr. Sievert?
Yes.
Mr. Schilling?
Yes.
Mrs. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Twist?
Yes.
Mr. Pierce?
Yes.
Mrs. Snee?
Yes.
Resolution is adopted.
Okay. Resolution R30, 2025, that's going to go to a second reading next meeting.
And you still need to read by
Ready.
title.
Would you please read that one?
Resolution number R30, 2025. Resolution authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety of the City of Troy, Ohio to execute an application with EyeMed Vision Care LLC of Mason, Ohio to provide optimal vision care insurance for full-time City of Troy employees and elected officials eligible for city-provided health insurance benefits and declaring an emergency. First reading.
Questions?
Yes, I had a
Mr.
question
Schilling.
on the vision care contract. During committee meetings discussing this, it was presented to the committee as the negotiations on this contract had not been completed, but because of the time frame that they asked that this thing be brought before council for a vote, even though the contract had not been completed. And so has that contract been completed?
That
I
was a different
think
one.
you might be confused with the previous item, that being the American Fidelity. That was a different piece of legislation that was actually voted on and passed last meeting.
Okay, maybe, okay.
Given the
maybe
right
you're
Vision,
Okay.
the only, it's not a conflict or any issues with the vision, but I did remark that the vision benefit being voluntary will be offered to all employees, union or non-union. Everybody will have that opportunity to opt in.
Okay,
That's it.
you're right. I'm
Yeah.
flashbacks on that. Sorry about that.
No problem. Better ask now than later. Moving on to ordinances. And our ordinance 017-2025 deals with the same thing. Would you please read that for the first time, and it will go to the second reading next meeting.
Ordinance number 017-2025, ordinance amending section 141.05 of chapter 141 of the codified ordinances of the city of Troy, Ohio, to add a vision coverage benefit and declaring an emergency. This is the first reading.
All right. I hate these long meetings are getting to us. We have any communications or announcements this week, Mrs. Knight?
No, sir.
Mayor?
Just looking forward to the Strawberry Festival this weekend, hoping it doesn't rain, even though it's in the forecast, but
It always rains
we
at
always
least one
know
day.
it can change. Yeah, hoping for scattered showers, just not here in Troy.
Sounds good. Mr. Titterington?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have several items. First of all, a reminder that effective this morning, we changed to our different City Hall hours, 7:30 to 5:30 Monday through Thursday, 7:30 to noon on Friday. So far, so good, I guess. I also want to let everybody know that June 19th, because we are already in June, believe it or not, June 19th is Juneteenth. The city buildings will be closed. There will be no change in refuse and recycling pickup. Festivities, as they happen every year, for Juneteenth will be held on the 21st on the Saturday. Just so nobody thinks that they're going to happen on Thursday. And then finally, I had mentioned last meeting I would give a brief update on, or recap, I guess, of our recent trade mission to Japan. So May 7th through the 18th, the mayor, as well as Joey Graves from the Troy Development Council, and I visited Japan, several cities in Japan. Just as a little background for those who might not know, we have 9 different company work units here in Troy, many of them long-standing. Honda Parts, Honda America, Comeo, which is known as Honda Logistics corporate-wide, F-Tech, which is actually the parent company of F&P, even though F&P's footprint is much bigger here in Troy than F-Tech. F-Tech here is the North American R&D headquarters, but it's a smaller footprint again than the manufacturing plant. GOCO, Segna, which is SEG North America, it's just SEG in Japan. NOK is part of the Freudenberg NOK partnership, and then Lintech, which is the corporate parent of MacTech, which bought Spinnaker several years ago. So those are the 9 work units from Japan. All in all, we visited and met with several C-suite types in 6 of the 9 companies while we were there, as well as the Kyoto Chamber of Commerce, Medi, Jetro, and Medi, and 2 units of Jetro, and I'll explain those acronyms in a minute. Again, we left on May 7th. Actually, 19 hours later, we arrived in Tokyo, which was actually the next day, the 8th, so we landed in the 8th. It's kind of Star Trek-y, but the next day, which would have been Friday, we met with Jetro Tokyo, with the executive vice president and several of her staff. Jetro is the Japan External Trade Organization. They have several different locations around the globe, and one of them is in Chicago, and we work very closely with them in networking and partnering with outreach to Japanese companies, both those that want to come into to the Midwest and hopefully Troy, as well as those that are already here. We then met with, the same day we met with Honda Logistics, otherwise known as Comio here. We met with the president and several others, talked about the partnership that we've got here. They were very thankful to the staff and to the council members that were supportive, and the vote had not officially taken place, but they've been following closely the rezoning of the property. They are looking forward to that. They all but apologize for taking so long to do it, since it's been on their radar for 18 years or more. But they had very good reasons to delay, and now they are very ready to expand. We talked about tariffs, and you'll hear that word more than once, and we also talked about workforce hiring, given that they are looking at a minimum of 166 new employees that they need to recruit. The same day, staying on Friday, we met with MEDI, which is the National Ministry of Trade and Industry. We met with the Americas director of North, Central, and South America. Again, we talked about tariffs. We talked about Troy opportunities, how we could partner better, and where we can network to discuss not only with MEDI, but later we met with Saitama, their governor, and how we can better link up with those territories and continue to talk, assuming, and they were all very hopeful, that the tariff uncertainty would get resolved sooner than later. Then on Monday, we met with the CEO, the COO, and a couple of his directors of FTech and F&P, Mr. Fukuda. He led with tariffs. I mean, hopefully you're noticing a common theme. We did talk about workforce. F&P is constantly recruiting. We also talked about the immigration uncertainty, which really isn't that uncertain, especially with tariffs going on. They do employ approximately 200 Haitians here in Troy. They speak very fondly of them. They think they're very good, reliable, dedicated workers. They just want to make sure that their status is protected as much as possible. We also talked about support for additional automation that they'd like to do, knowing that that's the direction that they've been investing in for the past several years, and related to that, what kind of incentives there might be at the state level for additional capital expenditures in robotics and other automation knowing that, we have right path, and we have a lot of the technology in this area, Springfield as well. Staying on Monday, we then met with Honda America. We met with the Assistant Vice President and the Director of the Americas and a couple of others. They are talked about tariffs. Can't forget to mention that. They have always been very high on Troy. They continue to be. They are dedicated to staying here, which is always a good thing. We did briefly discuss the fact that with Comeo moving to their own location, they are talking about some additional automation, maybe some additional expansion, nothing, very vague terms, because they've got a lot to do on that. But they're very fond of Troy because Troy is a location, and I've heard this several times when I've been over there, where they will assign and rotate their managers in training, some of their upper levels as they come through. So they will spend 2 to 3 years here and bring their family over. That's why we've got such a successful Saturday Japanese school, and a couple of our hotels have, catering for the Japanese. After Honda America, then we did meet with the Saitama Prefecture. A prefecture in Japan is kind of like a blend between a state and a county level. It's the big area. Saitama is also the county or the prefecture where Honda headquarters globally is located. We did meet with the governor, who is relatively new. He's been there for a few years, Governor Ono, and we did talk about all of the different companies in Saitama. It is a very heavily industrial prefecture. Talked about tariffs and talked about ways that we can communicate with those companies, our companies, to go over there as well and expand over there, and vice versa. While we were still in Saitama, we met with a relatively new division of Jetro, Saitama Jetro, and so we had a conversation with them about export opportunities, talked about how they're going to continue to grow and coordinate with the Chicago office, because they were very linked into the fact that Saitama has a relationship with Troy and vice versa, and talked about tariffs. Tuesday, we left Tokyo, went to Nagoya, so we're going from the north and basically down to the south, and met with SEG, which, as I mentioned earlier, is the national headquarters for SEGNA. SEGNA is behind the Barnhart Water Tower on 55. We met with their senior executive vice president, their North American director, and a couple of other managers. Talked about tariffs, talked about any kind of future expansion that they might be looking at. They do have, it's hard to see their building here in Troy. We have toured it several times. There's let's just say there's a lot of room for expansion, and so they are looking long term at possibly growing into that space. Workforce is a challenge for them. They are a relatively small company, but they have some unique qualities and training that they need from those employees. They were not aware of the apprenticeship type programs that JVS, Edison's have. So as follow-up for them, Mr. Graves is going to be linking them with Tony Trapp and some of the folks over JVS's way. Wednesday and Thursday we spent in Kyoto. We met with the leadership in the Chamber of Commerce in Kyoto. I meant to look this up, but it's several thousand businesses, 2,000+ businesses are a part of that chamber. That sounds impressive. That is impressive. The one caveat that our chamber would like to have is that Japan compels all businesses to join a chamber. We're not that heavy-handed. Nonetheless, they are very engaged. We did talk about tariffs. We talked about some of the incentives and the modeling that we use here in Ohio, and how we work projects, and made some good connections there, as well as we did also talk about training with them. We also met up with and spent most of the day with the former plant manager of our Panasonic plant, Mark Yamanaka. So it was good to visit with him and get an update from him and give him an update on how the Clopay operations are going on. It probably predates most of you. It certainly does me, because when Panasonic closed, they were doing the tube TVs, using about 1 million gallons of water every day. But alas, that didn't last. And immediately, at I believe a significant discount, flipped that building over to Clopay, who at the time was only in Rushi. And then they've, from expansions and closing their courtyard, which is it was kind of like a Pentagon type thing. They closed all that up. So in the last 15 to 20 years, Clopay has really expanded and maximized that space, and so that's been a good that's been a good thing overall. And Mark was pleased to hear that. Friday and Saturday, then we did travel down to Takahashi. We did meet with the new mayor down there. They've had some staff turnover as well, although the key staff that some of you might have met are still there, still going strong. We toured the new fire station and training facility, which also has their own dispatch facility. It was a pretty nice facility. Just to compare, Takahashi has significantly declined in population. They had peaked at one time at about 70,000 people. They're now about our size as far as population goes. Although while we're about 12, 13 square miles, they cover about 220 square miles, 80% of which is forest and wooded area. So you can imagine that forest fires and the like are a pretty significant issue. They do have 67 full-time employees and about 1,100 volunteers. Not sure what carrot they dangle to get 1,100 volunteers, but there's a different mindset there. They do work 24 hours on, 24 hours off, so a little bit more intense there. We also toured a middle school. I don't know if we challenged the students or they felt challenged, but they were there to focus on their English, and so they were not allowed to talk Japanese to us, and so that was quite an adventure. And then we also did tour their historic district, if you will. And by historic, I mean centuries old, not a couple hundred years old like ours. And then on Sunday, took about 23 hours. We left on Sunday the 18th. 23 hours later, we landed in the afternoon of Sunday the 18th and got back to Troy. So overall, a very productive trip. We did explain in no uncertain terms that while the Vice President of the United States comes from Middletown, we did not know him personally, nor did we have, they recognize that we're kind of a red city and a red state, that we do not have a direct line to the Donald, but that we would certainly emphasize to our House and Senate if we see them, representatives, that they'd like the tariffs settled sooner than later. So that's all I have, unless you've got any questions.
I'd just point out that Takahashi City is our sister city. I think you
Sister
did.
city, I did go
So
through
it's
that, yeah.
so that's why that was a relevant part of the trip, is there been a longstanding sister city.
Yeah, and it actually, May 4th marked our 35th year of that sister city relationship. Thank you, Mr. Seaver.
I have a question, and I don't know if you have this information, but the 200 Haitians that we have working, are they still in the refugee status, or have they moved on beyond that?
I really don't know. I know there's been some clarification, maybe up through the Supreme Court, some better clarity on overall, and some of the status nationwide, not just related to Haitians, but I believe I read in the newspaper that there was kind of a collective sigh of relief. I didn't read the opinion, but that seemed to be the conventional wisdom.
Anything else? Thank you. Law Director.
Mr. Rozelle, I have no updates this evening.
Thank you. A couple questions, Patrick, and then a couple comments. What's the status of our black utility poles on Main Street?
I asked the engineer that. I know they are on order. We are trying to get a status from the folks at Miami Valley Lighting.
It appears that a lot of roads in Westbrook look like they're going to be paved. So we will ask patience of those that live in the neighborhood, travel through the neighborhood after West Main Street. Apparently the signs say this week sometime. So just hang in there for another week or two. It'll be nice having smooth roads. On a kind of a downer note, I would ask that you keep Mickey Hammer and his family in your thoughts and prayers. Mickey came to a few council meetings. We appointed the CRA board, and he died suddenly last Sunday. And so Mickey was a real nice guy. The last comment, after hearing our input from the public last meeting, primarily on the baseball thing, and after talking to several council members, it's pretty well been deemed that this is a item that needs to be addressed and a little bit of priority. So it will be assigned to a committee, and it's going to go to Parks and Recs, and they're going to look at costing, concept, hopefully including all the stakeholders that are necessary to do that. In the meantime, please go out this week and the following weeks to fill out the park master plan survey, put your 2 cents worth in or more. It needs to, if you want stuff, you need to fill that survey out, because from that survey, the priorities will be set. And we need to hear from what you guys want. Maybe not just what's going to work this year or next year, but things if you're thinking of that could be benefiting people 10, 15 years down the road, please include them. Mr. Twist.
Nothing at this time.
Mr. Pierce.
Nothing at this time.
Mr. Whidden.
I wanted to thank all the people who came out at our last meeting last week to talk about several different topics. I think that is great when we have as many people here to speak as possible, and I know we're slightly down in attendance today, but it's a stark reminder that if the people come out and make their voice heard, council will listen. So I encourage everyone to please come out to council meetings. They are not useless. We do listen. So thank you all for coming out last week and being here tonight.
Mrs. Marshall.
Where can somebody find that park survey?
Where is it's going to be on the web page
It'll be-
Friday?
Yeah,
and
there'll
the-
be a link. They will be in town on Friday. I don't know that the link has gotten up there yet.
It's supposed to be Friday.
American Structure Point is finalizing that so that it's available, and as soon as it is, we'll get it out
And they are to have a
social media,
booth
yeah.
like they did with the Streetscape
Oh.
at the
Right.
festival
on Friday night.
on Friday. Yeah.
Friday night.
So
That's it.
mosey down. Mr. Schilling,
I have nothing at this time.
Mrs. Snee
Quick question about that. Is it only Friday night that they will be available?
at the festival.
Yes,
festival.
and the reason is that they learned something from the comprehensive plan process because they did something similar to it, and they found that Friday night is where all the locals are here.
Sure.
And so it was much more targeted. They got a lot more information. They were able to do a lot more face-to-face engagement.
Okay, thank you. And also a reminder that the at-large council members are hosting our quarterly meeting at the Troy Rec on Saturday, June 14th at 9 a.m. So we encourage people also to come out to that and make your voices heard and enjoy the Beatles rooftop concert that night at 7.
Mr. Siebert.
Thank you, Mr. Rozell. First, I'd like to thank you as president for assigning the baseball to a committee. I likewise, like everyone on here, was very pleased to see the response of the people who came out in support of that, and it's important to know that we are moving forward with that. I would like to thank everyone for the Memorial Day presentation at Riverside. It was a wonderful event. Dave Norman, the county recorder, gave a very moving commentary about his service, and it truly is an event to let us never forget those who gave so much. Likewise, as the mayor, hope the Strawberry Festival goes well. I would like to comment, because I said it a few times, but Slater Nally, who is George and Cindy Meeker's grandson, finished 5th in the American Idol competition, so that's pretty exciting for a Troy progeny. And I would like to thank the first responders that are present. I know you guys try to make it, and to see both of you out there is encouraging, and we greatly appreciate your service, and it's good to see both of you here tonight. That's it.
Staff, any comments? Well, we come to the public. If anybody would like to come up and have their say on any topic, come on down. Since we have none, our next meeting will be June 16th, 7 o'clock, right here. This meeting's adjourned.